Greetings ladies and gentlefish, and welcome to this game in the Caernarvon, Tier 8 British heavy tank. Now a lot of people look at this thing and decide that the armour on it is complete and utter garbage, but it's one of those tanks where it does have armour, but you have to know where the armour is, you have to put yourself in a position to use it, and that means knowing where the shots are likely going to come from the enemy. You can't just drive forwards, angle your tank and hope for the best. That's not going to work. So with that in mind, it's not an especially forgiving tank to play. And when you take damage in this thing, oh boy, do you take damage. So where is the armour on this thing? Well, essentially, front of the turret and front of the hull. The front of the hull, the upper front plate is 130mm thick, sloped back at a good angle. Front of the turret is 160 something, I think, with a pretty sizable gun mantlet. There's a comet. And here's another thing about the Caernarvon: its on the move accuracy is pretty respectable. So I'm using the 20-pounder A barrel, not the top gun, and I have the intermediate engine here, not the top engine. So yeah, your armour is on the front of your turret and the upper front plate of the hull. The lower front plate on the hull, not only is it made of cheese, it has a big fat ammo rack sitting behind it, which is frustrating. So basically with this tank, oh, and the side armour's garbage and the rear armour's garbage. Preferably you want to be hull down, you want to be using your full 10 degrees of gun depression just to show them the front of your turret. The nice thing is you also have the luxury of showing your upper front plate at a good angle, if you can use all that gun depression. Now this sort of situation is not the best for it. Side scraping in this tank isn't the best idea either, but taking shots through your lower front plate? A flunt plate? Your lower front plate is also a pretty terrible idea. So there's a Panther 2 over here who just took an artillery shell. I just managed to dodge that artillery shell, but I got hummeled. Commander, loader, both got taken out. I put the loader back in because otherwise this is going to have a horrible reload time. And there's a tiger, and I can chew up a tiger any day of the week. And you can see that for the alpha damage of this gun, the reload isn't actually fantastic. With a 100% crew and brothers in arms, no rammer or anything, the reload on this gun is 7.5 seconds, which is not terrible, but when you consider it only does 230 alpha damage, it's actually not brilliant. The Caernarvon does not actually have particularly good DPM. And there goes my ammo rack, with a shot in my lower front plate. And I have safe stowage, I would just like to point out. So I'm hugging the rocks like my life depends upon it, because artillery, there's 3 of them on the enemy team, and there's a whole world of friends over here. And we pop round, and we put another one in the Panther. So the armour piercing shells on this 20-pounder have 226 pen, 230 alpha damage. And 226 pen is pretty decent. It's on par with the oh, nice bounce. Bit of extreme angling. It's on par with the 105mm gun on the Tiger 2 and the BL9 on the IS-3. Track takes the shot. Even if I had a repair kit here, I wouldn't use it. I've got a pretty decent repair crew on this tank. And an IS-6's armour is not great to my gun. Alas, my shot misses, and I get tracked again. We were losing 1-5, by the way, it's now 2-5. And IS takes out the Panther 2. Now, of the guys up here, the Tiger and the VK are on low health. The IS-6 is the significant threat. But I'm just playing this cautiously. Tiger goes down. IS-6 has taken a bunch of damage. And the scoreline is currently 4-5, so our team is pulling this one back. And the reason I'm being cautious here is that I don't want to take a shot to my lower front plate. VK goes down, I bounce a shot, put one into the IS-6 and back off. Now I don't actually know why I'm backing off so much here. I will beat his reload. The IS-6 has better DPM than me because of his alpha damage, but I have a better rate of fire. IS-6 takes pain there. Track him, he bounces on me, I back off, come forward with my gun reloaded, put a shot into him. Panther 2 puts a shot into him as well. And then we just move around this corner Panther 2 takes a shot to the face, and I move around here in an attempt to finish this fellow off. And there we go. IS-6 down. Scoreline is 6-6. Looked like the Panther 2 took what was probably an artillery shell for his troubles. I can't think of anything else on the enemy team that would have done that much damage. We lose an IS-3, which is unfortunate. Hellcat nails him. And I'm just pondering where exactly to go. Panther 2 is now on 140 something health. And of course I don't have a Sixth Sense available to me anymore because my commander's been knocked out, which is kind of irritating. Borsig takes out their T-29 though. And there you can see the battering the front of this tank has taken. Can you guess what award I'm going to get out of this game? For a tank that supposedly has bad armour. Now I've had a steel wall in this tank in a tier 10 game. If you know how to use your armour, it's good. But you can't... if someone ambushes you, you're going to take a lot of damage. Now, considering the people who are currently remaining, I load some high explosive at this point, which does 280 average damage, I think. Yep, 280 with 42 pen. You have to know where your enemies are, and you have to... Oh, no, I load back to armor piercing, fine. You have to know where your enemies are, and you have to try and get yourself in a position where you can use that armor. Now, the position I was in before, I was basically trying to keep the front of my tank heavily angled, and hide my lower front plate as much as I reasonably could. You can see that the shot I took to my lower front plate, not only did it do damage, it killed my ammo rack, but the shots to my upper front plate were just bouncing off. As I say, that upper front plate is 130mm with a good angle on it, and you know, if you can increase that angle by using your gun depression or by heavily angling your tank, the upper front plate is actually pretty bouncy. No one bothered shooting... Oh, reload the high explosive. No one bothered shooting me in the turret, which is entirely... Well, I was going to say it's entirely sensible, but considering how effective they were at shooting my hull, maybe that wasn't sensible. If you can shoot the Caernarvon where there is not gun mantlet, then you stand a half-decent chance of going through it, provided you can punch through 165 odd millimeters of armour. Oh look, it's just the artillery left. And that can still give the likes of Russian 122mm guns, so like on the IS-6 with 175 pen, it can still give them problems, unless they're willing to load premium ammo, but you know, basically the strength of the turret is that it's respectably strong and has a pretty large gun mantlet, a bit like the Pershing. Except the actual turret armour on this tank is thicker than on the Pershing's turret. So this is basically the Centurion turret on this tank. So just trying to hunt down the last artillery pieces. M44 and Lorraine 155, 51. I think we almost find them. I really should have sped this up. I don't know why I didn't. Oh well. I've loaded high explosive. There's the Lorraine. Have a shot there, which takes off 271 from him. And last shot. One shots that artillery for an average roll of 280 exactly, which is nice. We take a shot for our trouble, but that's the end of the game. And that ended up being a first-class mastery badge, which is interesting because that means that people who play this tank don't do very well in it, because I got first-class mastery with just over 1000 base XP, which for a tier 8 tank is really low. I mean, I had 1300 base XP games in the Pershing, which were first-class masteries. So people don't seem to do very well in the Caernarvon. And I can see why. It's not an easy tank to play. It doesn't have amazing armour, it doesn't have amazing DPM, it doesn't have amazing alpha damage. The qualities it does have, you have to... They give you tools to work with, but you as the player really have to make them work. You can't just roll around a corner and derp someone in the face. You can't just go up to someone and out DPM them. And you can't just, rely on your armour to always bounce everything ever. You have to just be aware of your strengths, where your armour is, where it is not. The strengths of your gun, so that's its accuracy, its penetration, its reliability. And also know what your weaknesses are. You want to make sure they can't just put shots through your lower front plate, because if the enemy can do that, you end up with a very dead Caernarvon very quickly. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that game. If you did, please feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel, and I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.